I'm Rebecca.
And I'm Hunter.
This is the Family Showdown!
Howdy folks, welcome to another Top 10 from the Family Showdown. I'm Hunter.
I'm Rebecca.
And today we're presenting our Top 10 thematic games. And I wandered over to Board Game Geek and looked up their definition of a thematic game. And their definition is, thematic games contain a strong theme which drives the overall game experience, creating a dramatic story, narrative, similar to a book or action movie.
Oh, okay.
A thematic game is usually created around its main dramatic theme, which is rules and mechanisms. They said mechanics. I'm changing the mechanisms.
Shame on them. Aim
to depict. So there's two schools of thought, I think, for thematic games.
Take us to school.
There's the ones that are like a story, and you kind of feel like you're part of a story. There's also, in my opinion, thematic also means the actions you're taking feel like you're actually experiencing what's going on.
Okay.
Okay, so whatever you're doing in the game makes you feel like you're actually experiencing whatever you're doing, right?
Okay, then you can't yell at me from my list. Because...
So those are two different ways I look at thematic games.
Alright.
It says, in contrast, strategy games, also known as Euro games. So.
I didn't put...
Did I have any Euro games on my list?
That would be funny after you're like, you'd better not have put Euro games on your list.
Anyway.
Wow.
Alright, so we're presenting our top 10 thematic games.
Alright.
I'm going to be very, very thematic with my list.
I don't even know what that means.
Alright, kick us off for your number 10.
Alright, my number 10 is thematic.
Oh, here we go.
It's a dexterity game.
Oh,
and that is...
This almost made my list.
Flick 'em Up.
Yeah.
That's not the one you were thinking.
No, it's not.
I saw you pause.
It's not the one I was thinking.
For me, it's totally thematic because you have your two teams. You've got the lawmen and you've got the outlaws. And you're going into the Old West town and you're hiding behind cacti and barrels and things. And you're shooting at each other and you're fighting. And you're actually flicking little bullets right next to your dude to go hit these people. And you can set up different scenarios and stuff. And of course, last men standing are the winners, you know, whether it's the law or the bad guys, and that is, you know, and of course we always ham that up when we're playing, and it is a blast, and that would be Flick 'em Up. Absolutely love that game.
So that one definitely falls into the second category.
Yeah, the action movie.
The action makes you feel like you're experiencing what's going on.
Yes. I was a bit worried when you only mentioned that first definition. I was like, you're going to yell at me, but no. This one totally is.
No, I'm cool with that. In fact, it made my short list.
Yeah, it feels like you're doing the Old West.
I just don't like that game.
Now. It's not that you don't like it. There's a difference between not liking and not being good at it.
I'm horrible at that game.
It's okay. We still love you. So what's your number 10?
My number 10. My number 10 is a new one to the list for us. A new game for us. And that is Above and Below.
Wow, number 10 though? I thought this would be even higher.
No, I got some really good games on my list. Number 10 is Above and Below. Above and Below is a game where you have little worker dudes that go and do things for you. They can harvest your village. They can do other things, but the thematic part is where they go exploring in the caves, and it's kind of a choose-your-own-adventure kind of situation. Yeah. They go down, and you read a little story, and then depending on the story, you're given some choices of what you can do. You can do some good things, some bad things, some hard things, some easy things, and you pick which one you want to do, and then you roll some dice and see if you can actually accomplish your choice. And it's just a really, I was pleasantly surprised because I kind of thought that the storytelling, just from, kind of looking at some reviews and things, I thought the storytelling was just kind of pasted on and just kind of fluff, but that is the meat of the game is those stories. So it's just, I just love Above and Below. So there you go. That is my number 10 thematic game. The storytelling that is Above and Below. That
would have been my
I didn't make the
12.
List.
My number 12.
What?
Yeah. Sorry. Sorry. Thank you, Yoda. All right. Number 9 is along the same lines as my number 10, actually, and this is the game I think you thought I was going to say. Yes, and Rampage, a.k.a. Terror in Meeple City, which is out of screen. Yeah, I was going to say it's off screen. But that game, again, you are a ginormous Godzilla creature, and you're going through and destroying the city and eating people, and that is the game, and you are flicking buses at buildings and knocking people off and gobbling them up and attacking the other monsters and trying to race everyone to eat the most of the building tiles and the people, and it is so much fun. And of course everyone talks smack and roars and acts silly through the whole game, and it's a blast. If you like dexterity games, definitely look at Rampage, aka Terror in Meeple City.
I find it interesting that you're kind of focusing in, well, at least for the first part of your list, the action, thematic actions.
I change gears. I do change gears, but those stood out to me. Obviously, they're low on the list because the theme's not super strong, but it's there, and it makes the game experience what it is, I think.
Fair enough. My number 9?
Number 9.
My number 9 is, I gotta say the name of the game right. I only wrote the part of the name. Where is it?
Is it The Voyages?
No, it's The Adventurers.
Oh.
The Temple of Chak. I think that's how you say it, Chak.
That game is, that's true. I didn't even think
so
about that. So
this is like Indiana Jones in a box, right? Your guys are going into a cave, I guess, a temple complex or something, and you're basically running through it, and you're avoiding boulders and lava and all kinds of pitfalls, and you're racing through the thing, trying to grab as much treasure as you can. As you grab the treasure, you move slower and slower, and eventually the boulder's getting closer, and you start throwing treasures away, and you're rushing out, and you get squished by the boulder.
That's pretty much the game in a nutshell.
The Adventurers, the Temple of Chak.
That game is great, and I didn't even think of that one. Oh, that's a really good one.
That was one of the first ones I thought of, just because it really feels like
Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
it
feels like
right.
Indiana Jones. So there it is. It's a fun little game. It's got it's really kind of a press your luck game because, like I said, you have to slow down to grab treasures, and meanwhile the boulders slowly creeping along.
Or you could just grab one good treasure and run for your life and actually survive the game.
And the boulder accelerates. At first it's going slowly, and then it gets quicker and quicker and quicker, and it's racing through the thing. And you can dodge out of the way and jump in a river, but then you might get swept downstream and
or lose your treasure.
Or you try to cross a bridge, and the bridge breaks, and you fall into the river. I mean, it's really. I think it's really.
It's hilarious.
It's a fun game. It's very thematic, I think. So
it totally is.
That's why it's on my list, and it's my number 9. The Adventurers. The Temple of Chak. Apparently there's multiple The Adventurers game, but we only have that one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, why mess with perfection?
Because of the massive little boulder.
Oh, my gosh. The boulder's fantastic. It's my favorite part of the game. All right. My number 8.
Uh-oh.
I'm curious if you'll give me any grief for it. I think it's highly thematic. However,
make sure I'm still on camera here.
It's not an attacky game. I guess it would constitute a Euro game.
Oh, no.
Sorry, but I believe...
Down in the comments.
Oh, my gosh. That's okay. You can deal with that.
All right, let's hear it.
Terraforming Mars.
Oh, that's perfectly fine.
Interesting. Okay. Terraforming Mars is highly thematic.
It made my short list.
You could, I guess, argue at its heart you're doing a lot of... No, but that's not the only thing you're doing. I was going to say you're moving cubes, but you're not just doing that. You're building up your deck, and you're also terraforming the planet. So you're making the planet livable. So you're doing multiple things. You're building up heat sources and stuff because you want to raise the planet's temperature. Or also trying to introduce more water to the planet so that you can, as you're building your atmosphere and everything, you want to keep water in there and sustain life and grow life. And so you've got your cards that you're building, and you want to play them at key moments when it's, like the plant life's available to build and this and that, or add an ocean and... so you're spending time focusing on that, and your engine builder that you have on your playmat in front of you is to build up those things. Like you get a certain amount, you can go put plants on there, or you build up a certain amount and you can raise the planet's temperature, and it's just everything about it is built towards terraforming and upgrading your planet. And there's nothing in that game that's just like, well, why are you doing this? Well, I don't know. All of it has something to do with fixing the planet up. It's really well made. It's really fun to play, and that's Terraforming Mars.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's highly thematic. Part of it, I mean, a chunk of the game is thematic, but then the whole card play kind of, I don't know.
No, why. Again, like you've got a requirement, you can't have birds until it's
it's totally
a certain temperature.
That part of it's totally thematic. I just think the board's maybe more thematic than
than the cards.
Than the engine building thing that you're doing down at the bottom.
Yeah, but you've also got to think about, I mean, thematically anyway, you're going to have to build up that stuff, right? You may have only a little bit of, like a little heater. You're going to have to build bigger stuff the more people you have as you go there and stuff. So
I agree.
I don't.
It was on my short list. It was on my short list. I just kind of axed it because.
Interesting.
I have more thematic games on my list.
Whoa. Okay. Interesting. See how it is. Good luck guessing what number it is then.
My number 8.
Well, we know.
My number 8 is. The game's a little clunky.
You're clunky.
But it is super duper thematic, and that is Betrayal at the House on the Hill.
I didn't think about that game either.
That game is a B-movie. B-movie horror flick.
Yes, and it's so much fun.
It's just it's really the concept is you're a bunch of people that are
exploring this old
house and all kinds of craziness happens. The wall bleeds. You get phone calls from dead people. Ghosts show up.
Spoilers.
Things happen. Yeah, it's just their B-movie haunted house.
Oh, it's great.
Cheesy.
Oh my gosh.
Horror movie.
But then the house turns on you and becomes evil and attacks. Something bad happens.
Yeah,
and you have to escape.
One of your people that you're with, one of the players becomes a bad guy.
Not always. Sometimes the house is just the bad guy.
The player runs it though. One of the players runs the haunt. They call it the haunt. At some point, the house turns on you. And you gotta try to survive or do whatever the objectives are.
We have so much fun every time we play.
I just love reading the cards. When I play, I take the cards and I don't let anyone else read them because I love reading the cards. I think they're hilarious. The stuff. My favorite one is the phone call from your dead grandmother. That's probably my favorite card.
Something wrong with you.
Yeah, it was hilarious. That's
a really good game, and I'm just so bummed I didn't even think about that because I think that would have probably.
The game would be higher on my list, I think, if it wasn't so clunky because.
Yeah, there's things about it that.
A lot of times when the haunt starts, you're like, "How does this work?
Yeah.
What? How do we win? Did we just win?" It's just, and there's a lot of rules. The rules are kind of okay in this situation. How does we handle this?
Yeah, it's not always very.
There's a lot of deciding on the spot. Okay, let's just do it this way and stuff. I don't particularly like games like that, but the game is so thematic that I enjoy playing it. And my number 8, Betrayal at the House on the Hill.
Such a good game. That's a good one. All right, my number 7 is a brand new game, and I'm not particularly good at it. However, I think I would be better depending on my team. I'm going to get so much grief for that. And that's Captain Sonar.
That's your number what?
My number 7.
Oh.
And oh my gosh. The best way, and I agree, I like the real-time thing. That's amazing because you are running your sub, and you've got one person, manning how to activate the weapons. One person's trying to keep the engine running without blowing things up, and you got somebody who's trying to track down the other sub, and you got the captain that's trying to balance all of it and go after them. And it's all happening at the same time, and everybody's racing frantically and trying to tell each other what's going on, and that game is just ridiculous fun. I'm so glad we finally got to play that because I've been waiting for that. I'm ready. I demand a rematch. That's where I'm at.
My number 7 is Captain Sonar.
Because it's awesome. It's so much fun.
That game was amazing. Like she said, I wish I could have drafted a better team. I think that we played it on the Dice Tower Live Marathon. If you haven't seen that yet, she was at one end, I was at the other end, and no offense, Stephen and Robert, in case you're watching for some reason, you guys sunk our battleship.
Oh man, oh man!
But that game.
No, it's a blast. It's a blast.
There's definitely, but we learned really quickly that if you're good at that game, it makes a difference.
Oh my gosh, yeah, because you can actually become really
good. You can actually become really good at that game, and it's really
fun.
It's really cooperative, right? You really have to work together. You have to communicate. You have to know what you're doing. Maybe.
No, I think so because like I got much better the second game than I did the first game. The first game I was kind of it's easy to make mistakes, but it takes a while to fix them. You can fix them, but sometimes that costs you time. And I mean that's thematic in and of itself. And man, you learn from your mistakes very quickly because the other team is going to catch you if you keep doing that stuff.
I'm proud. So. I was playing the I guess the guy trying to track down the other team. I was proud.
Yeah,
I got one square off of hitting with no information at all. I didn't get a sonar.
Now.
I didn't get anything, and I was only one square off. I was very proud of myself. And Z was all pro across the way.
Yeah, he was.
But that game is awesome. I would never turn down a game of Captain Sonar.
That is fun, but I would argue that I would never want to play that game without 8 players.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine trying to run more than one role.
Can you imagine if you're doing it by yourself, one-on-one? Yeah, that would be hard.
That's how that game would go. I would be like, I surrender.
Yeah.
White flag because I don't even think I want to. I want to play with 8.
But it really does feel like you're like manning a ship or something because you're like, Nora, check. Everybody's checking. Yes, sir. No, sir. And you're listening to the other team and
don't go that way.
And you're doing sonars and drones and all kinds of stuff. It's really cool.
It's pretty awesome.
It would be higher up my list if I wasn't just annihilated by it.
Oh my gosh.
We got annihilated.
We did, but I don't care. I learned a lot playing that game. I argue that I would do much better. I want to play the same role again. I'm like, I got this now.
Oh, I really enjoyed the role I played.
I did too.
I just wish I had some information.
I would argue it's one of the tougher roles because you have to.
The navigator.
Yeah, because not
that. Whatever it's called.
Whatever I was doing, the engineer guy.
Oh yeah.
Because you have this weird track that you have, and it knocks out random things.
Yeah.
And you have to pick paths and try to guide your captain without being too obvious that we're doing a certain pathway and stuff. And it's a tough balance. So
yeah, you have to have really good communication between your team.
Yeah, so it's fun. I love it. Love it.
We're to year number 6, I guess.
Yes, my number 6. My number 6, we haven't played it in a while, and I love this game. It lasts a long time, but I think the theme is right there, and I think the theme and the whole thematic how's that for technical, is what makes this game, and that is Battlestar Galactica. It was probably the first game I've ever played that had a traitor in it, and
I
think that was the first game for both of us, right? That had a traitor, and oh my gosh, that's so much fun.
Maybe Resistance, but it was around the same time, I think.
I don't think we'd played Resistance yet, but yeah, it's so much fun, and everyone's joking at the beginning, you're the Cylon, but it gets more serious as the game progresses. No, you're the Cylon, and then you start throwing people in the brig, and next thing you know, you have, key things are blowing up, and ships are attacking you from the outside, and you're battling from within, and it's just chaos. And some people might argue that the game runs a little bit long, but we usually are hamming it up with our characters, so we don't tend to notice the time issue. But it is playing Battlestar Galactica. It's so much fun because everything you're doing in that game, you're trying to fix your ship, you're trying to make it to your destination, you're trying to blow up the bad guys. There's nothing about that that's not part of helping those things happen.
The whole voting and all that stuff.
Yeah, all of the voting. Everything has to do with getting to your destination, helping you along the way. There's no superfluous actions. So I love that game. It's so much fun.
Yeah, that one would have made my list, but we just haven't played it in forever.
I know.
It's been like
3 or 4 years,
probably. Yeah, it's been a long time since we played it.
But its theme, I didn't put my list together because of that. And so, because, that's why you've got, like, Captain Sonar, which we just played, like, a week ago, versus this one we haven't played for years, but the theme is there, and that's how I built my list, so.
That's not how I built my list.
Well, I see that.
What number are we on? 5?
No.
6?
Maybe.
6. My number 6 is the greatness that is the one-shotness of Pandemic Legacy. Pandemic Legacy takes Pandemic and makes it epic. And if it's epic, it's thematic. Usually. Maybe. Possibly. Anyway, Pandemic Legacy is basically you start out playing Pandemic and you do this long story of all kinds of things. Your actions decide what happens, and then you eventually go and you save the world, and it's just an incredible story start to finish that you basically live out. You see your characters changing. You see the world changing. You just see all kinds of things. You get new skills, new abilities, new things happening. Twists, plot twists, and unexpected things happening. It's truly a story, and that's the thematic part of it. It's basically at its bare bones. It's just playing Pandemic, right? But it's got so much more meat to it.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's bare bones. It's the story.
Yeah, well,
around the frame of Pandemic.
True.
I would say
making my argument better. Must be higher on your list. That's my number 6. Pandemic Legacy Season 1. Eagerly anticipating Season 2.
Yeah. All right. My number 5 is Star Trek in a box.
5.
And that is Fleet Captains. All right, maybe this is my super fanness why it's 5. This is probably the nitpicky nerd. You're mixing like all the series, so I mean, you can have
timeline.
Alternate universe timeline mess. No, you can have characters from
all
all over.
They all went through a wormhole to an alternate dimension where they're all together.
And you also have the whole like it's not necessarily like the Klingons could go on an exploration spree and win. They're not really necessarily just about the battles and stuff. There's a lot of little. I mean, like if you're gonna go. I don't know. But other than that, it's totally... See, that's what I said. It's a nitpick. That's what... It's probably just me being nitpicky because it's like one of my absolute favorite games. But it's fantastic. You've got the great little minis and your... shush you. And it's... you're exploring the strange new worlds and... You know, encountering alien life forms and attacking your enemies and trying to get as many of these things accomplished... You know, before the other person does and get the victory points for the win. And it's all pretty driven around that. So it's really fun. And you can build your decks differently. Like if you want to be a more attacky Federation, you can build a militant Federation deck. Or you could build a much more scientific-oriented Klingon setup. It's how you want to play it. Now, granted, everything in the Klingon decks tends to have at least some attack and defense in it. And in the Enterprise, there's usually some kind of deflect things, you know, and protection defense, military defense from attacks in just about every deck. But, you know, overall, you've got some tactics and stuff there. So, highly thematic. It's Star Trek. If you want to experience a little bit of Star Trek, that's the game. Fleet Captains. Don't even. What's your number 5?
My number 5 is a game that she has not played. It is the epicness, the grandioseness of Twilight Imperium 3rd Edition.
Someday. Yeah, you can't argue that.
Twilight Imperium
that's insane
is an epic space opera. It is just everything. It is starting out with nothing, building out your forces, researching technologies, making alliances with alien people that are sitting next to you, and making trades, making votes, creating new laws, destroying your enemies, exploring the world. That's just awesome. Greatness. It's greatness in a 7-hour package.
I can't argue that because I haven't played it, but no, it sounds
that game. It's really cool that, and also on top of that, every race is kind of a little different. They play a little differently than each other. Every game is obviously as epic as this. Is completely different. Some people are heavy combat. You go after people and you blow them up, or you can go and try to be passive and try to accomplish goals that are kind of more exploration. And it's just a really amazing game. I wish it was half as long and 2-player.
I second that. Hey, I wouldn't even care about the length if it was just 2 players, so that we could try to figure out how to parse that out. Yeah. Well, we'd have to hide the cat.
But it wouldn't be epic 2-player. You really need 4 or 5 at least
to make it epic.
To make it fun.
The epic epicness.
So that is my number 5, Twilight Imperium 3rd Edition.
Goodness. All right. My number 4 moves on from Star Trek to Pirates, and that is Merchants and Marauders. This game It's another one that can be kind of long, but every time we play it, I have a blast with it. You are a merchant or a marauder, or both, and you feel like it because you've got the map, and you've got to dodge. We've got the Seas of Gloria expansion, so we usually throw all that in, and you've got storms you need to dodge, and different ships that are like policing the area and whatnot, and you're sailing around, and you can either be a lovely little merchant just picking up goods and dropping them off somewhere else and making your fortune that way, or you're listening for rumors, and then you go to find out if the rumors are true, and you get victory points and money and different things for that. Or you can go and just attack your neighbors, rob them blind, and go stash that money before something bad happens to you, and or all of the above. And I believe at some point you've had just about every country, including your own, like after you, pretty much.
Yeah, my one of my default tactics
to a life of crime
is to attack all the merchant ships. I don't care what country you're from. You're getting attacked.
And he has, like, the only port he could safely go to was his home port.
No, there's one that the pirates like.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Tortuga? Or
That's right. That's right. You had two. But yeah, it was hilarious because he had, like, a stack of the flags of all the enemy ships on the corner of his playmat. It was pretty awesome. Man, if I'd had enough guns, I would have come after you because the rewards would have been ridiculous. But yeah, it's hilarious because you can pick, it's kind of the, what do they call that? The sandbox game. You get to pick and choose whatever you want to do, and you can go around and do it. And if you change your mind mid-game, okay, go for it. And it's so much fun. The battling is great. Everything about that is the life of, well, it usually ends up being life of pirate for us, but yeah, that's how it is. It's a really fun game. And that's Merchants and Marauders.
Interesting choice.
Which means it's higher up on your list, perchance. Interesting choice.
All right.
What's your number 4?
My number 4 is probably, I'm guessing it's your number 1.
I will not claim or deny anything.
My number 4 is the epicness and the greatness that is War of the Ring.
Interesting.
2nd edition. War of the Ring is epic greatness and greatness of epicness.
So why is it this low then?
Don't know. Maybe it's got that. I get the same feeling as you do with the Star Trek. Is that you can really break the storyline,
break the story up,
which is fine. I mean, that's great. You're writing your own story, and I love that. But you can make it just a combat fest and just completely ignore.
That's true.
You can be. It could just be just a big battle of battleness. I mean, obviously the good guys got to keep trying to do what they're doing, but the bad guy can just take all the theme out of it and just attack.
That's true.
And do nothing but attack and not really worry about the corruption or worry about anything else. And I don't know. I all the games in my top 10 I think are amazing. You could just kind of shuffle them up and deal them out.
Yeah.
They're all really, really thematic.
That's true.
I don't know, just certain things about it that, I don't know.
So it's your super fan nitpickiness that I had with Star Trek.
Pretty much, yeah.
I totally get that.
Yeah, I mean, you can keep the Fellowship together the whole time, all the way to the end. I don't know how if you would survive that or not, but
that's almost worth trying. I may try that next time.
But no, it is an amazing. All like I said, all the games I could have shuffled these around, but War of the Ring just seems like it's like really can be really heavy combat.
Oh yeah, and you can easily turn that.
And you lose some of the I mean the whole. I mean, obviously the Lord of the Rings has a lot of fighting and battles in it, but a lot of it is the behind the scenes politics and maneuvering and things like that.
Yeah, that's what the game's basically. Yeah,
and you can take that. You can almost take that out of the game if you wanted to a certain extent.
No,
right?
See, that's called Battle of the Five Armies.
Well, yeah, true. That's why that's not on the list anywhere.
No, I'm just messing with you. But yeah, you could totally. But that's one of the choices with the game.
I guess it's too much dudes on the map, ish.
Okay, I can see that. I can see that. Totally see that.
I mean, I think to take the theme to the next level, there needs to be more, maybe some outside politics kind of thing. Like, I don't know. I'm just thinking doing more maneuvering. I mean, but
there is,
but
for the good guy, there's a lot.
Well, yeah, but mostly it's just moving a guy to a certain spot and activating them. It's not. I'm thinking more of a way to make it thematic of talking the dwarves into coming rather than just moving. A dwarf over there and saying, join us, kind of thing. And having to maneuver, I mean, something, I guess, above the combat level of the game.
Yeah, but I think It'd probably take too long.
Anyway, but all like I said, all the games on my top 10 I think are super duper thematic, and as is War of the Rings 2nd edition. It is Lord of the Rings in the box, and you write your own story.
There's that. All right, my number 3 has been mentioned before.
Wait.
Fail. Too late.
My list is all over the place.
He only does that because he thinks I like peek at him or something.
It's got to be
Nope.
above. Oh no, Pandemic Legacy.
There you go.
Yeah,
you're pretty good at this. You're pretty good. I'll give you that. Yes, Pandemic Legacy. I love the fact that they took this and it became a year of this worldwide crisis, and you need to solve the problem. And it changes, it escalates, or it might de-escalate because of the things that you've done from month to month. And true to life, you're successful. The government's like, you're doing great. We're going to cut your funding. Thanks. So, you know, it's pretty funny how it works, and that each character, like, you're playing a role, and the roles have different abilities, you know, and how they play, again, you know, off of the other characters. The game is completely different. It is impossible for you to play, you know, for our game of Pandemic Legacy to be the same as your game of Pandemic Legacy. Where the whole thing starts is not even going to be the same place for you. It's amazing how they designed this game. No, it's not a spoiler. Everything about this game is unique and set up to start because of things that you've had happen and how your game comes about. And of course, that's kind of the nature. That's what I like about the thematicness for this, because that's disease. That's how something like that spreads. It can be so incredibly random, just happenstance. And then, you know, one person doesn't wash their hands, and next thing you know, this thing's rampant. I mean, it just depends on what it is, but it's true. It's kind of interesting, and in a way, it's almost scary if you think about it a little bit too real, you know. But that's what it is, and I really like the theme, and I like the way that you battle your microscopic enemy.
No, I agree 100%. It's obviously it's on my list. I just think it's just like you said. You're writing your own story, and every action, everything you do in the game drives the rest of the game.
Yep. Pandemic Legacy.
So my number 3.
Yep.
My number 3 has been mentioned. Let you take a gander.
Oh, I stink at this. See, you ask me these things like I know. Your fleet captains. You haven't mentioned that yet.
My number 3 is Merchants and Marauders.
The other one. Hello.
I love Merchants and Marauders. Oh my gosh! Every time we play this game, it is so funny.
It's awesome.
It's hilarious. It's a pirate game. It's a sandboxy pirate game that you can do anything you want. You can be a good guy. You can be a bad guy. You can be a good guy that turns into a bad guy. You can be a bad guy that turns into a good guy. You can raid and rob the whole time. You can be a merchant and go and trade. You can explore. You can do pretty much anything you want, and it's just amazing. It's very thematic. It's the even how your ship works, and the fights, how it damages your ship, and you're not good at certain things when you're damaged, and if you like you said, if you get Seas of Glory, it takes the next level. Your crew has loyalty. If you're not giving out money or going back to port, the crew gets cranky at you and starts mutiny and doing all kinds of stuff.
That's amazing.
It's just, and the storms, and it's
pretty cool.
It's layer upon layer of theme, in my opinion.
It's not a beginner's game though. There's so much going on in that game. Don't take that on with the expansion. I'd say play the base game first until you get used to that, and then the expansion isn't that tough to add to it. But holy cow, if you try to do that whole thing at once, there's just so much stuff to keep track of. But I'm just curious now. I just had a thought. We haven't had anybody just play an explorer the entire time. They've always done some merchanting or something else.
The rumors and stuff are kind of hard to get. Because it comes down to a die roll, right?
Yeah.
And that's awful
I was
risky.
just thinking, I don't think anybody's ever tried to do
rumors
that.
are more of a, you kind of grab it, and if you happen to be going that direction, you do it. But yeah,
I just think it'd be entertaining.
It'd be tough.
It'd be really tough.
You'd have to not mirror, couple that with something else.
Yeah, I don't think you could do
now you could do like a merchant and a rumors together. I bet would work well.
Yeah, well, I've done that.
Yeah,
that works pretty well. But yeah, I was just curious. Anyway,
there it is. My number 3, the greatness that is Merchants and Marauders, especially with the Seas of Glory expansion.
Yes, fantastic. All right, my number 2. It's probably your number 1, I'm going to guess. No, wait. Did you mention it already? Now I'm losing my mind. No, you haven't mentioned it yet. And my number 2 is Time Stories. And yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so...
What? I didn't say anything.
You didn't need to. This game, I love the premise. You are a bunch of time travelers and you're trying to solve different problems, issues, crimes, whatever. And it's just you get this base game, but then you're buying expansions that you plug in and it's just going to be another scenario for you to solve or figure out. And they left this wide open. The glory of this being a time traveling agency or whatever, you can go anywhere, do anything, any scenarios, any alternate universe. This is wide open. It's fantastic. So this is here to stay for a while, and I'm really excited about this because the themes that they've been coming out with are just phenomenal, and you can go anywhere, and they are going anywhere and doing all sorts of things, and I'm really looking forward to them. And just the one, we've only played one, and we've got our second one like ready to go, and just the one that we did, I had so much fun trying to solve the puzzle aspect of it, and just it's almost like the choose your own adventure thing too, where you're like, oh, do we want to go over there and do that or do this, or what do you think is going to be the best thing? And oh, you got to remember what we've been doing or where we've been because that might affect something later, and everything you do has some footprint on the game, and it's so much fun. And yeah, I guess I don't want to say legacy, but kind of is, because it's basically, you could go back and replay it, I guess, after a while if you've kind of forgotten it, I guess. But I don't think you could ever really truly play it again for the first time, because it's the same puzzle. But for the cost of that and the experience that we had versus going out, it's no comparison. I'd happily probably pay double that just to have the same kind of experience. I mean, it's that good. So that's my Time Stories rant for my number 2.
My number 2 has already been mentioned.
Has it? Time Stories? No? Star Trek? Mm-hmm.
My number 2 is Star Trek Fleet Captains. I am not a nitpick. I want Spock on a ship with Data fighting whoever, whenever, I don't care. Voyager people, you throw them all together, shuffle them up, and go at it. Star Trek Fleet Captains is so cool that you get to go out and explore, and you don't know what's going to happen, and you can do all these missions, and you beam people down to planets, and you beam triples over to the Klingon ship.
That's funny, by the way.
You can do all kinds of stuff. They just took all the episodes and kind of shuffled them up and made a game out of it, and I think it's just an amazing experience. When you go out to explore places, you flip it over and you can get an encounter, and the encounter is like an episode in one of the series, right? It's like, Mud shows up with his women and you got to deal with him, or the big planet eater thing comes along, you got to avoid it, or this shockwave comes flying through that destroys your ships if you don't avoid it.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Just, I'm talking really loud because I'm excited. Star Trek Fleet Captains is Star Trek in a box. It is greatness. It does, like I said, it doesn't bother me that they're mixing episodes. I think that's even cooler because you get. That's true. You don't have to buy 6 versions of Star Trek Fleet Captains, right? You get all of it in one big game.
Well, that's it. The fan in you is like, oh, I always like these characters, so I'm going to make a ship full of my favorite characters. That's cool.
And you have a fleet with the Enterprise D, and the Defiant, and the Excelsior, and all
destroy.
Go out, fight.
Yeah, all at once, just go after one ship. Bullies.
So yeah, I really enjoy Star Trek Fleet Captains. It is just awesome, and I like, and unlike War of the Ring, where I think it can do, it's just, I think it's a lot of heavy combat. This one, you can avoid combat, completely avoid combat and win the game. It's very unlikely.
Oh, you mean combat against the other player?
Right.
Yeah, because
you can just do exploration. Eventually, the other player's gonna come over and poke at you, but you can go science, you can go influence, you can go build star bases, you can work on your missions, you can go attack the other player.
You can build a different sized galaxy. It's possible that if you'd stuck to the exploration, you wouldn't even meet each other.
I haven't told Rebecca that the next time that we play, I want to build a weird map.
I can't.
Because all our maps have been kind of
very
straight.
Straightforward.
I want like branches going off and little bubbles over here, and
Woo! Sorry. See ya. We got stuff to do. We gotta build a map.
So anyway, that is my number 2. The greatness that is Star Trek Fleet Captains.
That's funny. All right. Well, apparently we played flippity floppity because my number 1 is War of the Ring. I don't have the nitpick thing that you have with that, and apparently
You play the good guys more often than I do.
That's true, but I think because you found that there was just too much. You seem to like the more straightforwardness of the bad guys, from what I understood.
Well, the bad guy, I like the combat part of the game, which is probably why it's lower on my list. Is I enjoy the straight up just fighting and the strategy of maneuvering your forces and things like that. Whereas the good guys are more sneaky, right?
You have to focus on, well, at least the way I've played, you have to spend a little bit of time getting people ready for war, at least to some extent, or you're just going to get stomped on. And if you do ignore that, it seems like it's very easy. If you pay attention to that at all, you're going to be like, aha, I'm just going to go attack her and end the game more quickly. It's easier to do that than to wait to try to hunt down Frodo.
Right.
So I think the best play for the good guys is to kind of find that balance where you've got to do a little bit of everything. You should have a little bit of military built up to protect the important stuff. And you still need to make sure that your fellowship is moving because they can't stop.
Yeah.
The longer they stop, the more pain you get.
Yeah, it's kind of a revelation that I think the reason mine is lower is because I play the bad guys so often.
That's true. I tend to play the good guys more.
You probably play them 80% of the time,
yeah,
right?
I have. I play them the most. And I enjoy, I don't know why, I guess it's the way my scrambled brain works, but looking at about 15 things at once and trying to say, okay, I need to balance this out and prioritize this and that and figure out who needs to go to war first. And I like that as much. The battle stuff does not necessarily interest me as much because, as you've all seen my dice rolls, if I just rely on that, I would find that game highly boring sometimes. Although the dice in that game, I will argue, are the most beautiful dice we own.
Probably.
They're pretty amazing. Now, if you get me some made out of, like, fresh cut emeralds or something, they'll probably top that. But until that day happens, the War of the Ring dice, they're just really cool looking. Just the way they look. They're amazing. And everything about that, the artwork, the pieces that hopefully Hunter will paint someday.
That is a lot of pieces to paint.
Get started.
It's like 300 miniatures or some craziness.
Oh yeah, that's true. Doing all the armies.
But I was gonna say, you said you like the big
I do
the balancing this and that. I like rolling in with 15 elephants and crushing cities.
Well, and that's the thing too. That's the other thing is he loves steamrolling me because his characters just keep coming back. My armies, however, are limited. Once you die, and you don't have reinforcements come back. You have a limited amount of good guys, and so it's such a fragile thing. And I'm going, oh my gosh, he's sending all that.
Well, it's a race, right?
It's
my race to destroy or corrupt you before you finish the game, right?
Oh my goodness, yeah. So it can be a beatdown if you let him get built up too much. It's pretty crazy, and I love that. I love the fact that it is I don't know, for whatever reason, I like that aspect that dropped it on your list. I like the fact that I could change the timeline a little bit in that world, because this is a world
interesting.
I enjoy diving into and playing around.
Like I said, I think I had a revelation that it's because I play the bad guys so much, because I don't think they're as thematic as the good guys are.
Oh, I think they're pretty thematic.
They're thematic, but maybe not as interesting.
They're not as deep.
You got the politics, and you got this, and the maneuvering, and the hiding, and all this other stuff. And I have kill and corrupt. That's all I have, right?
Yeah, and that's their characters. Their characters are not as deep. That's at their heart. That's what they are. So I mean,
that's why I say it's probably lower on my list, because I don't play them as often.
Yeah, you don't play.
And I haven't played the good guys. Probably the last 3 or 4 times we played, you've been the good guys.
I have been, because you're like, that's yours. Usually.
I like the elephants.
They are really cool. They're very cool.
The elephants.
The elephants. So yes, so there are a whole mess of thematic games.
It's an elephant.
Look what we started. And you all have to pay.
And my number 1 is
Time Stories.
Time Stories. Remember way back when, in the way back time, when I said my number 10 was Above and Below? Well, Time Stories is Above and Below on steroids. It is.
Yeah.
It is an epic choose your own adventure
of epicness.
Time travel-y, wobbly. I don't watch that show. Man, all the Doctor Who fans are just yelling at me right now. It is awesome. I love the fact that it's like she said, everything you do, you'll be like later on in the game, like, what did we do in that room? What happened there? And the discussion, and I like the fact that you read the card, and then you have to talk about it without reading the card. It's like, what did you see? Well, there's this lady.
But I have to remember all the details in that picture.
And the chair is purple.
Yeah. Because that may be something you have to know to solve it later. It's ridiculous. I love that.
And the puzzly, the interaction, the table talk, working together.
The counting
like someone
down
might be good
clock.
at puzzles. I might be good at remembering like what we saw. Another person might be good at figuring out that this guy's crazy and we shouldn't talk to him. And it's just awesome. It's a way to drive a story among the players. It is just everyone talking, interacting. It's just the choices, and then you have also that time travel thing that when you go through, and you run out of time, you screw up, and you start back, and you do all of it over again. And you go back and screw back. You go back again. You go back, you mess up. You go back again. Eventually, you get it right. Hopefully.
My only beef with this game is it's so awesome, and you want to share it and say, "Hey, you remember that time when?" And you can't do that because people haven't played it yet. They're like, "Don't spoil it," because there's so many funny things. But you have to make sure that someone has specifically played and finished that game before you can talk to them about it.
Because there are some decisions that if you joke about, "Hey, remember what happened to this room?" it runs that piece of it, right?
Yeah.
And then, I don't, like she said, I don't have an issue with it being one shots because
no, I don't either.
4 people going out to a movie together is going to be $60
easily, at least.
That's just a movie.
That's not that's not gas to get there.
And it's an epic experience. But yeah, Time Stories is pretty much. I mean, it's like that game was made for me because I've read hundreds of choose your own adventure books.
Gosh, I love
those because when you're reading a choose your own adventure, if you ever read one and you mess up, you're like, oh, go back and try again a different way. And that's kind of what you do in Time Stories. You go until you mess up or run out of time, and then you go back and you do it again, right?
To give you an idea how much I liked the choose your own adventures, I stored them and gave them to my girls. So they inherited like 50 choose your own adventure books that were mine when I was a kid. So yeah. And I'm not exaggerating about the number. There's 50 of them.
And I think that's why Time Stories is higher on my list because even though
it's so much
War of the Ring and like Fleet Captains are really crazy thematic, you really don't have the table talk and the interactivity that I love in thematic games.
That's the theme. Yeah, that's the theme with Time Stories, and I think they nailed it.
Yeah,
they nailed it. So I get it.
Yep. So there you go.
Amazing.
We said there you go at the same time.
In stereo.
So there you go. There's our top 10 thematic games.
Amazing games.
Tell us down in the comments in a thematic way.
Oh my gosh.
What your most thematic games are.
I don't even know how you do that. Dress up in a night outfit and post it. I don't know what's going on here.
Do you want to talk about any kind of honorable mentions or anything? Just kind of.
I thought about Blood Rage. It was off my list.
It's Euro-y though.
But yeah, and I'm not an expert on Ragnarok and stuff, so I wasn't sure. I was like, I don't know. So
there's a couple here that
I'm more Roman and Greek mythology.
I'll mention a couple that people probably thought should be on the list, like Zaya. Zaya is very much like Merchant Marauders, but
in space.
I think it's less thematic because I don't know. It just seems less thematic to me.
Yeah, I can.
I mean, it was barely off my list.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And another one is Shadows over Camelot. And the reason that, I mean, I think it's thematic, but the thing that took off my list is the whole poker hand things. That really doesn't make much sense.
Yeah, the actions.
I do love the table talk and the interactivity and the trader and all that stuff. But then when you get down to the game, you're playing poker.
Poker, kind of,
making hands of cards and stuff.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of
another one. Star Wars Queen's Gambit.
Oh, I haven't played that.
That one's pretty thematic, I think. And Eclipse, I think Eclipse.
Ooh.
We've only played that once.
Yeah, so. I was gonna say when I've played that more, I'll be able to tell you. Do you know another one? It's a little game that I think's thematic and was off my list, and you guys may laugh or not, but I liked Fuse.
Yeah.
Because it's real time. and you have to work as a team to defuse a bomb, and you're using the dice thing, but the dice are basically like which wire you cut or whatever,
or
how you
a combination,
how it's organized, yeah,
or a combination to a lock,
however you want to look at it to defuse it. And I find that pretty thematic because I mean you have a set amount of time, and you've got all the stuff you've got to do, and you have to work as a team to do it, or everybody dies, and it was tense. It's pretty tense, and you really want to work fast, and sometimes, you know, you screw up and everybody's kind of set back a little bit, and we have to readjust, and it was fun, and I really was surprised at how thematic that felt. So that was on
It was
my
definitely
short list.
frantic, like you were defusing a bomb, so.
Yeah, it was. It was fun.
So, there you go. This was suggested by one of you guys out there.
Thank you.
So,
awesome.
so keep the suggestions coming. In fact, our next top 10, which Rebecca doesn't know what it's going to be, was suggested by someone.
Ooh.
Our top 10 potato chip games.
What does that even mean?
You can't just play it once.
Clever. Ooh.
So anyway, you'll look for that next week, and we'll see you next time, folks. She's already thinking about her list.